there's no trace to be found. It's like they all have just vanished, but I know they're around. I feel they're getting closer. Their hearts are sending chills down my spine.
Welcome back to Howling After Dark Stonehouse Mystery Part 2. Alright, so here's what I think. Before our little break here, I posed a question, why aren't people talking about it? Why aren't more people talking about the Anasazi ruins? Why isn't it not a more popular subject, especially amongst, paranormal investigators, paranormal enthusiasts, paranormal-minded people? Why aren't more of us talking about it? Well, I think there's kind of a two-part answer to that. I think there's not really like what I would call like a racial bias. I think it's more like I think people don't talk about anything having to do with Native Americans pretty much for the same reason people in Germany don't talk about like Auschwitz. I think there's a lot of guilt there, and I don't think there really needs to be at this point, Like, I have, for example, a lot of friends and a lot of people in my life that happen to be white. And, I don't, harbor any ill will towards them. It's not their fault. They didn't do it. You know what I mean? But I think that's there. I think, with the way the world is, I understand why they feel that way. I just don't think they need to. That's just my point. So I think that is a part of it, but a small part of it. I think maybe the larger part of it is that it's almost as if something is kind of keeping it shrouded in mystery. Whether by destiny or design or, just pure dumb luck, people have, for whatever reason, remained ignorant on this subject. And I don't know why. This has become one of my all-time favorite subjects, and probably in large part because people aren't talking about it. And I like to be different and kind of, go against the grain, break the mold, whatever, however you want to put it. That's just kind of who I am. And so, that's kind of why I talk about it. But I don't really know, why more people don't talk about this subject of the Anasazi disappearance. Maybe it's because a lot of people think there's maybe nothing to it. Maybe they just walked off and left all the stuff behind. But that doesn't make any sense. And I can't see how that could even be possible, actually, because we're talking about, like I said, at least from all we can figure out, there was roughly about 1 million of them. There's no way roughly 1 million people are just going to walk off from everything that they called home without food and water and simply disappear. First of all, nobody in that desert would make it that far. Because during the summer, it is so freaking hot, you're not traveling far on foot. And they didn't have horses yet. Horses wouldn't be introduced to this country for like another couple hundred years. Because one thing we do know for certain is that they were already gone by the time the Spanish came. And the reason we know that is because when Coronado went through the desert there, back in, I think it was like late 1600s, he wrote about these runs where some mysterious civilization had once lived and they were already gone. So, if they were already gone, and yet through archaeology, so if they didn't simply walk away, what happened to them? Hence the mystery. Okay, I'm looking at chat. Looks like I lost a few people, but hopefully they're still listening. Anyways, so yeah, that's why I think people don't talk about it. I think there's some kind of I don't want to call it a spell or mechanism because I'm not sure exactly what it is, but I'm sure there is something in place that kind of keeps it shrouded in mystery, that kind of keeps it out of the mainstream of people's thought. And, whatever that is, I'm probably not making it happy right now by talking about it. So, whatever. Okay, so before I continue on, I'm going to give people a chance to message me in chat or on Facebook, whichever, since there's probably more people listening on Facebook. If they have any questions about the anesthesi or anything I've said tonight, go ahead and ask your questions now, and I will read them on the air. Okay, nothing, I guess. Okay. Well, while I'm waiting for somebody to ask questions or not, I'm going to clue you in on just some historical facts I happen to know about the Anasazi. They had running water via adobe clay aqueducts and a wooden water wheel. As far as we can tell, they were the first first Native American culture to work with metal. They actually developed and made their own metal tools. They didn't use iron or steel. What they apparently used was like copper and very soft metals like that. That they could just, melt down from raw material. They had a form of like pot metal they like to use a lot. And they made metal tools, which was virtually unheard of. They, as far as I can tell, anyways, they were the earliest native culture to use metal tools in that way. So, good stuff. They were also, they also had a device, much like a telescope. They didn't have mirrors or anything of the like, but what they would do is they would use a combination of like still water and like these shiny, really shiny copper kind of mirror type things in this tube, and the way it would work is like all along this tube there would be strategically placed tiny little pools of water, and above them would be like these mirrors made out of super shiny copper that would kind of magnify whatever it was looking at. And then it would kind of take the sunlight and project whatever it was seeing onto like a wall or a ceiling or what have you. And the reason we know that they had that is because they found the remnants of one of these devices. Oh, and the outer shell was almost everything they made was had adobe clay in it, and they were really fond of adobe clay because it was so easy to mold and whatever shape they wanted. And they also used a lot of wood, particularly soft wood, like reed wood was very popular for a lot of things. But for the there is a particular name for this device I'm describing, and I, for the life of me, can't remember it. But something like omniscope or I don't know, something like that. Anyways, whatever this device is called, there are remnants of one that has been found. Also, the clay pots themselves are an example of this particular type of pottery that wasn't supposed to exist at that time. Because most pots in this time period in every other native culture showed that it was very primitive. And what I mean by primitive is like it would all be shaped by hand, but then it would be dried in the sun. And so the way that the clay would bake would be in this primitive way. And it would, whatever it was, would turn into a very rough kind of pot. But what these showed is that there was like an artistry involved that denoted that it was actually baked in an oven or a kiln. And the kilns are actually still in at least one of the ruins I've seen. And, they actually baked them. And, I don't know. But I found that to be pretty impressive, actually, because that invention wasn't supposed to exist at that time. Not in America, anyways. So, clearly an advanced society for that time period. Now, here's the part where I tell you that I can see how the possibility of like an alien abduction could be feasible. And here's why. The clay pot urn or kiln, the omniscope or otoscope or whatever the hell they called it, the telescope type device, the irrigation, all these things that existed before they were supposed to exist in this country, and then you add in the fact that they disappeared so mysteriously. Where did they learn how to build all this stuff? Somebody had to show them. I mean, us natives, we're smart frickin' people. I mean, just generally speaking. I mean, there's dumbasses in every culture, but generally speaking, we were smart frickin' people. But we're not that smart. We're not that smart. I mean, for that time period, for these things not existing yet in any other culture around us, that's some like Albert Einstein genius level shit right there that did not exist prior to that. So they had to learn from somewhere. Somebody gave them the idea, at least. If not, flat out showed them how to do it. So where'd those ideas come from? Only two explanations I can think of that would make any sense for that are they learned it from people who were more advanced than we are, or there's possibly a natural kind of time slip that occurred there, and that's how and why they disappeared, and also where they learned all this stuff, because they could see into the future. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. But I'm just saying, it is feasible. Anything is possible. If us in the paranormal world, we should know better by now. Anything is possible. So many closed-minded pricks exist in the paranormal world. It literally drives me crazy because they sit there and say shit that is just a blanket statement and they totally buy it. Like, oh, well, all spirits are trapped. Bullshit, they are. I mean, seriously. We do not lose free will simply because we die. Free will is a gift from whatever God you believe in. It doesn't get taken away simply because we've lived our lives and now we're in the next stage. Where that thought came from, I have no idea, but it's absolutely frickin' ridiculous. So there's the possibility. Maybe they learned it from a futuristic spirit. Who knows? Who knows? But the point is it anything could have happened. We don't know, and we probably never will know in our lifetime. I don't think we're meant to know. I think there are certain mysteries, like what happened in the Anasazi and the colonists at Roanoke, that we're never supposed to know the answer to. I think a lot of these things actually happen for simply one reason: to keep the rest of the world curious. Because the only thing that actually makes us evolve isn't what happens to our bodies and how we physically adapt. It's how we mentally adapt. And the only way we can mentally adapt is to become more wise and more intelligent. In other words, learn. And the only way we will learn is if we're curious. And the only thing that will make us curious are life's mysteries. So I think a lot of these things happen simply because it's going to cause us to become curious enough to look for the solution. And I think whatever happened to the Anasazi is probably something like that. I think it was an event designed simply to keep us wondering. And it doesn't really, it doesn't really matter what you as an individual believe. It doesn't. Absolutely not. It doesn't matter if you're Christian or Buddhist or Hindu or Muslim. It doesn't matter if you're native or white or black or Chinese. It doesn't matter. Really, at the end of the day, the only thing that matters or should matter to any of us in the paranormal field, period, is our own curiosity. Our own thirst for knowledge. Because really, that's what it should be about. Not, hey, I'm going to try and get on TV. It should never be about that. It should never be about what you should, what you could gain for yourself. If all you're thinking about is, hey, I'm going to try and get a TV deal, then you're in this shit for the wrong fucking reason. And you're probably one of the frickin' idiots that I complain about all the time on this show. And yes, by the way, ask anybody who's listening to me for more than a minute. You will know I'm very opinionated. I'm very passionate. And I have absolutely no problem speaking my mind. And if people don't like that, then they're welcome not to listen to my show. But one thing I never will do is pander to my audience. I will say whatever is on my mind. People either like it or they don't. It's that simple. So, if this is your first time listening to my show, just understand I'm just stating my opinion. You are more than welcome to feel differently than I do. I will not hold it against you, but don't sit there and complain to me about it. because I don't care that much. And this is one of those topics that I'm very passionate about because I strive to understand what happened to these people, but I also know in like the more, I guess, realistic part of my mind that the chances of me ever finding out in my lifetime are probably slim to none. If we ever find out at all, because I kind of feel like once this generation of people that are actually curious about it are gone, there won't be another. Which is why I think it's so important to talk about it on this show. And on any show, for that matter. I don't think the Anasazi should ever be forgotten, because I think the curiosity about what happened to them is a beautiful thing. But for whatever reason, like I said before, there's not a lot of people talking about it. Just like we don't really know what's up with the Bermuda Triangle. I mean, sure, there's lots of theories, and a lot of them make sense. Geomagnetic anomalies to extra-dimensional portals to whatever. It all makes sense. I mean, it is all feasible. At least in my mind. So, okay. And to go back to what I was saying just a minute ago. Jeremy, who's in my chat room right now, he already knows this. He's already heard me rant. So he already knows this to be truth. I will say whatever I want to say on this show. Regardless of whether people are going to like it or not. I'm very opinionated, like I said before, very passionate, especially about the paranormal. And I do not suffer foolishness. At all. If I think you're being a jackass, I'm going to call you on your bullshit. If I think you're something bad for the paranormal field, I'm going to call you on your bullshit. And the second you're starting in your head to have a freaking problem with that, I want you all to remember this. I joined the Army when I was 17 years old. I served my country, not only here, but on foreign soil, where I spilt blood and saw the blood spilt of my friends. I fought for every freedom and liberty that you take for granted in this country. So just keep in mind, I'm a big believer in the amendments, the first and second, mainly. So just keep that in mind. And for those that went to public school, the First Amendment is the freedom of speech. The Second Amendment is the right to bear arms. Just so you know. So, yeah, I do not at all have a problem saying what I want. Well, it's not even so much what I want, it's what I need to say. And I think that's part of the importance of the show, is because I call it how it is. I really strive to do that. I may have my moments just like anybody else does, but as much as I possibly can, as much as I humanly can do it, I'm going to speak the truth on this show. I'm going to call things how I see it. And if people don't like it, well, then that's just too damn bad, because I don't care. because I care more about the people that care. Anywho, so, the Anasazi, as far as I'm concerned now, they're up there with the Bermuda Triangle. They're up there with Stonehenge. They're up there with Easter Island as far as like the world's great mysteries are concerned. They are up there because it is so unexplainable. And it's so mysterious that, like I said, we probably never will know the answers to a lot of these questions. And the ones we do figure out probably aren't going to be well until after I'm gone. I mean, I'm a pretty smart dude, but I know I'm not smart enough to figure this all out. I mean, yeah, I can come up with my own theories and whatnot, and I do that for pretty much anything, especially when it's paranormal related, because that's just kind of who I am. But I can't say that I know for a fact that, this is this and that is that. All I can say is that in my experience, this is what I believe. Yada, yada, yada. And the Anasazi mystery, the Stonehouse mystery, is one of those few things that I can honestly say I absolutely do not know. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with the not knowing. It's not going to stop me from striving to get the answers. And this is one of those subjects I would love to hear other points of view on. Especially from somebody that has the knowledge of this subject. I would love to hear other theories concerning the Anasazi Stonehouse theory. Yeah, or Stonehouse mystery. And I would love to have anybody with any knowledge of it on this show. So if anybody's out there that has knowledge or knows somebody that has knowledge about it, regardless of whether or not they've written a book or done another show or what have you, if they just want to come on here and talk about it, hey, I'm game. Or with any other paranormal subject for that matter. If anybody's got a story they want to tell or what have you, message me on Facebook or email me at ghostwolfj@gmail.com. Or come onto our website here at ghostwolfpara.weebly.com and fill out a contact form on our contact page and get a hold of me that way. That's 3 different ways you can get a hold of me, and I will gladly put you on the show, or I'll read your email or whatever on the show too if you just want to pose a question. I'm definitely game for all that. I'm totally open to other points of view. I may not necessarily agree with them. And I'll state that for the record, by the way. I will state as a matter of just being who I am, that I don't necessarily agree with what you're saying. That won't stop me from reading it on the air. I try and be really fair about it. Regardless of whether or not I personally agree with you. So, yeah, that's open for anybody that wants to talk about anything paranormal, whether it be ghost or crypto stuff, like Bigfoot or the Yeti or whatever, or UFOs or any paranormal subject. I'm open to discussion about it all, and like I said, I'm more than glad to have anybody on the show at any time, or to read their statements or questions at any time. Just, get a hold of me and we'll make it happen. That's just kind of how it goes. Okay, so we've got about 7 minutes left. I want to open it again to any questions or statements or what have you anybody might have. Um, Come to our website, to our live streaming radio and web series section, and go into the chat room there, and you can pose your question, or you can, if you've got me on Facebook, you can message me there, however you want to do it. Okay, well, nothing yet. Anywho, so like, I do believe that some mysteries are always meant to be mysteries, and perhaps the Anasazi is one of those. And I don't think that's the case for everything paranormal. I think that probably within like 10 or 20 years, paranormal investigating will become kind of like a recognized profession, recognized science, if you will. And I think that probably soon after that, we will start to develop our first actual recognized evidence as far as spirits are concerned. And I think it's actually going to be less than that for a lot of the crypto stuff, especially Bigfoot. I think we're so close to answering the Bigfoot question that it's probably going to be about 5 years, would be my prediction. I think probably in 5 years we will have indisputable DNA evidence. And I think that probably within another 5 or so years after that is when we'll start to really get that way with ghostly evidence. But having said that, I got to stick by my guns, so to speak, on something I've said before, which is that I have zero interest in proving it to anybody other than myself. But that's me. But I think paranormal investigating becoming a recognized profession can only help in the long run, and I think it will. It will open a lot more doors, which will only help to actually prove that these things exist in the long run. And I'm already starting to see, that kind of happen. Kind of look like the way it did for, psychics. Uh, Probably like, what, 10, 20 or so years ago when, no, it's probably longer than that when, like, the first psychic worked with the police to solve some mystery. Um, I think it's going to start kind of like that. I think we'll actually help solve like a murder or kidnapping or something, or some other kind of unsolved crime, and then that solution will kind of help to legitimize the paranormal field. And then, probably shortly after that, will actually become, kind of a recognized profession, which, like personally in my mind, I kind of think we already are. Um, and we're kind of not. Those of us that actually take it seriously, and keep an open mind, um, I think we're as close to the real deal right now as you could possibly get. But those people that, just think they know what they're doing because they saw it on TV, they create far more problems than they ever solve. So I'm not even going to get into that tonight because I'll be ranting for another 20 minutes and I've only got about a minute left. And with that, folks, we're almost at that time. Tune in Wednesday night. It's going to be an excellent show. Uh, we're going to be talking about our web series, Forgotten Ghost Towns, and we're going to be playing some audio from some of those. So you're definitely going to want to tune in for that one. It's going to be really good stuff. And I may or may not have a special guest. We're going to kind of see how that happens. But until next time, my tribe, my pack, peace.